back to your thoughts on feminism and how it's failed women.
So feminism now has failed women, and it is a farce that you can have it all.
Right.
It doesn't exist. You cannot have it all.
Right.
There will always, always, always be decisions that you have to make, things you have to sacrifices to be made from a woman that a man can't even fathom. And it is what it is. Feminism. To be a working mom means you have 2 full-time jobs.
Did you hear that line from that show on FX with Jesse Eisenberg? I forgot what it's called now. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Something
with the
the last name?
Silverman.
It's like Saving Silverman or something.
That's an old movie.
Somebody's lost.
Silberman.
Finding.
No, Silberman's
is getting married.
Good deed. No.
Yeah.
Okay, what did you say? What was the line?
It sounds like children's books.
Claire Danes. It's really interesting. It's like a story about the the wealthy in New York, but not the super wealthy. So they're kind of caught in the middle, where like they're struggling to keep their kids in private school in like very decently sized apartments. But like there's still like a certain struggle with that. Right, he's a doctor and whatever. So she has a job and she's hanging out with these women who are full-time stay-at-home moms, and they're all talking about how being a mom is the hardest job in the world, and she like nods silently, and then she comes over in narration and says, these women think being a mom is the hardest job in the world. The hardest job in the world is being a mom and having a full-time job.
It's 100% true, because it's like your mind just never, you never have a break. You never have a break. And one of the jobs does not pay you at all. And it's just, I was talking the other day, like I just feel like I have not had a vacation since my kids were born. I'm sure, dad, it's hard to be a dad too, but
I was going to say that. What about, no one ever says it's hard being being a full-time dad and working full-time. Nobody says that. I'm just throwing it out there. I know I'm no men's rights activist. I'm not one of these dudes. But I'm a full-time dad and a working dad too.
And I always wanted to be the dad.
What do you mean?
No, dad.
What do you mean?
It's different. Being a full-time dad is different than being a full-time mom. There's a different.
I'm not a full-time dad.
But there's
but if we're comparing apples and apples, full-time mom and full-time dad, no one talks about a dad who works and takes care of his kids.
But by the way, I
that's what I'm saying.
I agree with you like 95%, but I think there's a 5% of like there's a pressure on a mom and an expectation that a dad doesn't have.
The guilt, the society doesn't put guilt on the dad for not being present in the same way they do on moms.
I heard a mom describe it once as like, because she was working full time, and they're like how do you do it all? And she's like my goal is just to be a really good dad.
Yeah.
Is that what the mom said?
Yeah.
That's what I
like,
said.
And you can tell there's a difference between like if a dad just does what the basics of what he's supposed to do, he's an amazing father.
Listen,
right?
Yes.
Otherwise, I'm completely with you.
I don't think
we get enough
the
credit.
standard is double. It's a double standard, but I think what's more? One cuts out the other. The dad doesn't get credit where it's deserved, and doesn't get get guilt where it's undeserved.
But he sort of does. Think about it this way: when a father watches his kids, what do they call it? Babysitting. How are you babysitting? Aren't you just parenting?
Right.
Isn't that your child? When you go out with your kids,
I don't think anyone says I'm babysitting.
Oh, I've heard that.
Watching the kids.
Yeah. When you go out with your kids, let's say it's just you and the 4 kids. Do people go, oh, you're such a good dad. You're taking them all out, giving your wife a break. You know what they do with me when I have my 2 kids? You got your hands full. Fuck you. I'm aware.
I didn't say that.
No, but I'm saying like, and no one's ever
I
like.
just say one cancels out the other. I agree with you.
No one's ever like, what a good mom you are taking out your kids. Isaac takes the 2 kids out. Oh my God.
I traveled alone with 2 kids. I traveled alone with them.
It's like a celebrity. Can we help
all these,
you
there's
in
like these
any
Latino
way?
women on the plane. Oh my God, look at that. And I'm like this. Look at him. Look at that. Mija, look at that. Oh my God. And mom, it's just like, can you keep them quiet, please?
Right. If it's me with my 2 kids, they're rolling their eyes. These kids aren't going to be quiet the whole fucking ride.
Right.
Like, no, they're probably not.
I agree, but I just think the double standard goes both ways. So the pressure on males to provide and have the career that can provide the lifestyle and do those kinds of things. Like, it's not like they're getting extra credit for that either. It's right. I think the 2 cancel. There's 2 different double standards that exist, and in a way they cancel themselves out. No one is like to the mom, hey, or how much are you bringing home? Like pressures for salary, pressure for status. There's less of a pressure on women for that and more of a pressure on men for that, I think.
I just did like
something
this,
to think about. I don't know what's worse or better in terms of that, but I do think there's different double standards in different areas.
No, I can tell from first-hand experience. I was just hanging out. I just did this like healing ceremony we were talking about before, kind of like ayahuasca, but not. It's called San Pedro, and I was with just a group of fathers. It was all men, and the whole thing really for 14 hours, we're like really like releasing a lot of like shame and guilt and pain of like not being a good enough father. Like there's like a lot in there, I think, that guys don't get to express normally, of how hard it is to have the pressure of like you have to make money and provide and everything, and also you do want to be an amazing dad, and like there is a lot there that goes unappreciated.
Think about if a guy said, I want to be a stay-at-home dad, versus a mom who says, I want to be a stay-at-home mom. The shame and pressure that a dad would get for feeling lesser for that decision versus a mom, I just think that's something that only a man would experience, or to a much greater effect than a mom, where it's like, of course, like that's.
But then again,
not to take away. They can both exist.
That a woman might do that, and
an expectation that a man might not.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
They
I don't know if it cuts evenly.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's cuts evenly. And you're right about the double standards imposed on moms taking their kids out. No one's like giving your husband a break. We don't assume equal roles and equal amounts of parenting on both ends. I happen to be a pretty hands-on dad. Like I do a lot of bath times and bedtimes and all this kind of stuff. I like, and I'm happy to do that, and my schedule allows for it. So I'm really grateful for that time. And I know a lot of people who have such busy schedules that they say goodbye in the morning and then they're home and kids are already asleep, and that's something that I don't envy. But I'm just saying, like, these different double standards, I think as someone who experiences it on one side, you forget that on the other side there's a whole other component to it too.
But I think we were asking her about
having it all.
Who even knows? Oh, having it all, right.
We're saying you can't, and
there's just an emotional burden that comes with being a mother, and I just think about, like, especially with my job where I don't sit at a desk. If I need to call the doctor, I have to call the doctor when I have 5 minutes, and if that doctor is not available when I'm available, I'm not going to speak to the doctor. My kid is sick. I cannot leave work and go get it. It's.
See, moms care more. They're better at caring more.
No, and
dads are like, oh, we forgot the phone call. Like that's
and
how you have
right.
a certain amount of care and guilt that a father's just like, ugh.
That's the more part of the emotional burden that I carry around.
Yeah.
Is that I can't do these things, and I feel bad, and I wonder, like, do my children suffer because I can't do these things for them? I can't run an errand. I can't run to the doctor during my job, my work day, or run, and I wonder if I'm doing a disservice to my kids because I can't be for them in that way while I'm working.
But you're also living as a model of somebody who is trying to balance things, and I think kids learn the most from their parents vicariously by watching them. And so if you're doing something that's fulfilling to you and following a passion, I think you underestimate how influential and impactful that can have on your kids, that even in moments where you're not physically present, them knowing that mommy's going out and doing something that is meaningful to her is a big lesson to impart. I
think you're 100% right. But when you're on TikTok and there's a million videos on how to rear your toddler and the sensory bins and the sensory boxes, and I'm not doing any of that, and I just feel like such a piece of shit. And so when you're constantly comparing yourself, I guess, which I am because I'm a woman, it's hard.
I would love for someone to do a tell-all reveal of these TikTok moms, like
are
how
they
Michael
really
thinks everyone's a monster.
Like these people.
No
she's
screen
like,
time.
I'm in my closet right now, and my kids are screaming, and I just want to say it's okay. Like, you're not in your closet. You have like lights. You have a studio, you have a babysitter, you probably have 2 babysitters watching your kids right now. You probably went in the mirror before and like messed up your hair
TikTok.
and messed up your makeup so you could look like you're, and then these moms are watching it and are like, oh, you're a doctor and a psychiatrist and an influencer and you have 4 kids and you're the perfect mom.
You do it all.
Yeah.
And your house is aesthetically pleasing.
Right. And you know exactly what to say all the time. These women should be in jail.
Honestly, they should get their social media taken away for life.
Block them, not Trump, right? It's
the women that are the problem.
Women against women is the problem. That's what we're doing here right now, Michael. I don't know. Yeah, but that's this false.